This video is sponsored by Deep Cut Studios. For a wide range of fantastic gaming resources such as battle mats, dice trays, and pre-painted bases, check out the description below.
Hi guys, welcome back to C&G Productions. My name is Tom. We're back with another MaliFAST battle report. This is where we shrink down one of our normal battle reports and provide slightly more kind of like tactical narration over the decisions that we had in a shorter condensed format, so you can watch it in a break or a lunch or just when you're doing some hobbying. So this episode is going to be between myself and Chris with our fourth season now, I think, of Malifaux battle reports. I'm using the Viktorias, which you can see on screen. This is the upgrade crew. So this is a leader Viktoria with the ponytail with Soldier for Hire alongside Vanessa Chambers, who has the same. This is Big Sis Vic, as we like to call her, which is the jumping one, which has Servant of the Dark Powers. 2 Ronin to do all the stabby stuff. They've got Wanting Criminal, so they're super fast. And then we've got a Student of Conflict, and we've got the Emissary. So it's got a good range of kind of healing, hard to kill, maneuverability. And yeah, the first battle report against Darren showed that they are pretty deadly when they get stuck in. They're a really simple crew, which is really nice to kind of contrast with Nelly. Now, Chris is bringing Shenny Loggins with his monk crew. Chris just does what Chris does, he takes a full crew with 0 soul stones. He just puts as many models as he can. So we've got a low river monk, which is the healing one. We've got a high river monk, which is the punchy one. We've got 2 wandering monks, which are the leapy ones. We've obviously got Shenlong, who can completely change his style every single activation or turn. We've got the Shadow Emissary Big Dragon. We've got Sensei Yu and a Thunder Archer to go with the 2 aspiring student totems. And as you can see by the paint jobs, Chris has got an incredible Cobra Kai theme to go with this crew. But their whole mechanic is chi, which if you haven't seen it before they cheat, they can reduce their chi by 1 to increase the kind of dual total by 2. So let's say you flip a 4, you can use your chi, make it a 6, then cheat in something amazing. So for today's battle report, we're going to be playing Break the Line. We've used standard deployment, and as you can always expect, the Vics have their battle tempo, which allow them to push up early in the game. As for the setup and the rest of this, we've kind of gone on some sort of Kythera board here. That's what I've gone with. And the scheme pool, as you can see, is Research Mission, Martyrs, Outflank, Assassinate, and Claim Jump. And I will flash on screen what we've gone for. Both going for Martyrs because it makes sense with our lists. Both going for Assassinate because, to be fair, we both output a lot of damage. Shen can do Irreducible, which the Vics hate. And obviously Min 3 Katanas really helps with the Outcasts too. So I win the initiative flip, but Chris has the 3 model advantage, so I choose for him to go first. I'm going to do a lot of passing. So Chris gets his early activations out the way. He goes with an aspiring student. Now they've got a cool ability that, thanks to Sensei Yu and Shen, they can concentrate but gain a chi instead, and they can kind of do that as a bonus action. So Chris is simple. He's going to walk, he's going to concentrate, and then he gets to use it as a bonus action. So he gets this double chi, which is really useful for him because he can put a lot of stats on them and then move that chi around to his other models. And Chris's setup here is actually quite a lot of activations to get this machine going, but it sets him up for future turns. If he can get fast on a few models, if he can get chi up, he's really ready to go. So he has 2 activations on the bounce. I pass. He does the exact same with both. One, gain chi, walk, concentrate for a chi, bonus action it for a chi, which is really handy, gets them up ready to have their abilities stolen again. So I have spent my first pass token. I am then quite simply going to spend my second pass token. Chris is then going to go with Sensei Yu. So Sensei Yu needs to get in position. He wants to be in the middle of the crew to try and affect and move things around, so he will walk. He concentrates. Now he's going to concentrate for a focus because it kind of helps him with his defense. And then he's got his simple lesson ability, which allows him to give a student fast in exchange for that chi. And that's exactly what he's going to start doing with these students. So he can then start moving that fast onto more dangerous models. So I pass and we go with Shenlong. He starts with the Wandering River style one, which is a butterfly jump and 4 winds punch. It's an amazing upgrade that he can have. It also means that when he adapts this, the monks of that type gain a chi. So the Wandering River monks, which are the 2 leapy ones on the wing, they gain a chi token as well, which is super handy because it means they're again building up this ability to improve their duels as Chris goes into turn 2. This is all set up for that. So first thing Shen is going to do is he's going to move himself into a more central position, and he's then going to spiritual alignment, and this is what all this setup did. It basically takes the fast off the Student of Conflict and puts it onto the big scary dragon, which is, a really handy thing to do when you're setting up with all of this. He's then got the ability to use the Dragon Commands It, which is his bonus action, which allows him to make Sensei Yu do his bonus, which, as you know, was just a simple lesson. So he can then make the second aspiring student exchange its chi for fast. There's so much happening. And then Shen uses spiritual alignment again, and he uses his chi here. Chris flips low, but he uses his chi to kind of get it up. And what he does is he moves this fast that has just been given to this aspiring student onto his Thunder Archer. So it's a really, really cool mechanic to kind of spread that. So I now have to go. I go with my standard activation with the Emissary. He Weary Roads himself to put his aura of healing and bonus move in the middle of everyone, as well as dropping a scheme marker. And he plenty of wears my leader Vic to give her Vitality Potion. Now, I do have to cheat it, but that gives her regen. So she's hard to kill with regen, which is pretty amazing on your master. I've got a spare AP, so I do the same again on the leader Vic. You can't put the same upgrade out twice, so I give her Don't Mind Me with a pretty floral bonnet because I thought it would be funny, but it's actually really handy on a master. So while Chris is moving up with his Emissary to interact and kind of manipulate his deck with its bonus action, I'm going to say my tactic here, there's this big piece of severe terrain in the middle of the board, and I want to kind of have as much threat as I can with the Vix to get around that quickly. So my first turn is very much picking a side, which happens to be where the dragon is, because Chris has committed this to the halfway line, and then really zero in on that bubble, because Sensei Yu and Shen are real problems if they're not dealt with. So the dragon being fast helps an awful lot here. It means that the interact is already over my halfway line. With Break the Line, this is the thing where if you get it 8 inches into the board, it counts as double in later turns, which means Chris has got a lot of models with Leap and Fast, which allows him to do that. Speaking of Fast, I go with the Student of Conflict. She does what she always does. She'll use Covetous Cravings to remove a scheme marker and give Fast to Vanessa, because I want Vanessa on the halfway line dropping bombs. And then I just interact to have one for later. So we go to the Wandering River Monks. Now, these guys are amazing during this game. Chris has one on each flank. So they leap. They use Chi and Cheat to do that if they need to. They move, and then Chris will concentrate for a Chi. But from the second turn onwards, they're just basically pushing, leaping, pushing again. They're really hard for me to deal with. I'm basically trying to match them with a Ronin, and even with all the speed of the Ronin, they really struggle to catch up. Speaking of Ronin, this one's going to go. She gets on the move and escape plan for a 5-inch move. It's almost as good as their leaps. And she will move and interact. She's trying to get the drop on the Wandering River Monk here with that. We bounce over to the other side. Chris now takes advantage of his fast Thunder Archer. So he moves twice to get into range. And he fires a shot. Now he ignores concealment. So he actually ignores these strat markers and anything else in the way. It's a pretty solid flip here, 17 to 15, but gets a negative flip. But because Chris has manipulated his deck with the big scary dragon, he flips a severe of 4 damage because just Shenlong things, which does quite a bit to my poor Ronin, drops it down to 2. So I go with the other Ronin, I do the exact same, on the move, escape plan, move, interact, try and get that over the board. And Chris immediately meets that. You're going to see his push and pulley on the wings now. So the Wandering River Monk, he leaps, he moves, he interacts. And this is the problem I'm going to keep having with these guys. These Ronin are quick, but the River Monks can leap, interact, push, and do all manner of stuff. So getting on to the more important activations now, we've got Vanessa, who's moved 6, just because of the Emissary, she's going to walk twice, and she's going to harness the ley line now. So she's going to drop a bomb on Sensei Yu. I've had intuition, so I know what's coming. So this is a stat 8 versus his defense. It's a 20 versus an 18. He still flips relatively well after, I think it's a chi and a cheat. So it's a weak flip here, which does 2 damage. But when Vanessa's on the halfway line, she gets the surge trigger built in, which is really good for kind of drawing cards. And she's exactly where I want her going into turn 2. She's engaging anyone who comes for that marker. So, speaking of damage to Sensei Yu, Chris can just wipe it away very easily with the low River Monk. I need big damage. I need the Vix to be stuck into him, really. So, healing energy, which is exactly the same as what Nessa's got. Chris just flips it twice, heals 1 on the first one, heals 2 on the other. Sensei Yu's back to full health. So, really, you have to commit and do a lot of damage. And I could do with taking that low River Monk off the board, but he has great range with his healing. So, he's probably giving the last one for me to get stuck into. So, never once missing the opportunity to do the murders, I'm going to go with my leader Vic. So she places her big sis in base contact, because they're sisters in spirit, I think it's called. Bonus action to get shielded, and I move 7, so I'm going to walk and charge the Shadow Emissary. Now, it is terrifying, but luckily terrifying 11, so I do manage to get my attacks through with this, and, you know, stat 7 Katana will damage a lot. So it's a 19 versus 16 on the first attack. Negative flip going through, which will do 3 damage because min 3 is great. So the Emissary really doesn't like getting kind of focused down with this. Second attack then, I succeed with the terrifying test, 16 versus 10. But what I choose to do this time is cheat in the mask, which is that one counts as mine, which allows another model to make an attack action, which will be the Ronin in a second. So it's a straight flip, and I cheat in a severe for 6 damage to knock it down to its hard to kill. The Ronin then tries to go, it activates thanks to the trigger, it shoots, passes terrifying test, but then loses the duel 7 to 18. And, I've got the Emissary down to 1 health, I'll take that. Big damage dealers are now going, so the High River Monk goes, risky maneuver allows him to gain a focus and a 3-inch push for a point of damage, which is amazing for these. They're so good, the monks, they seem so fun and thematic. And then he just walks and charges straight into Vanessa, and these guys do burning when they hit, which is horrendous. So, luckily Vanessa's got shielding, but first attack goes 15 versus 12. Straight flip because Chris burns his focus, which is 4 damage, down to 3 thanks to the shielded, but I get the burning to go with it. He gets the trigger, which is inner peace, so it allows him to concentrate. So he just gets to pitch a card and flurry with another concentrated focused attack. This time it's 18 versus my 9, which is a positive flip. I think Chris cheats in the moderate here, for 3 damage and burning again. So Vanessa is really poorly. So this puts pressure on me that I have to kill that Emissary now. I can't just leave it. I need to kill to get the heal from the ability that all the sisters have. So big sis goes, she moves, she charges the Emissary. I get very lucky again. Vics do not like terrifying, but I pass it with, I think, Red Joker it. And then I make my attack, 20 to Chris's 17. He's not flipping badly, but stat 7's helping me out a lot. 4 damage with the Bloody Fate trigger, which allows me to draw. Vanessa heals 2 HP from Into the Fray, so she's a lot happier now. She's back up to 4 HP. I mean, she's still not invulnerable. It means next turn she gets her shielded, which will help. Now, I've got a spare AP, and Vics don't really like using their spare AP. I'm trying to size up my shots here. I just choose to shoot the archer and see what happens. And of course, because it's on camera, the Vic goes full aggro mode and shoots him right in the face. 18 to Chris's 9, straight flip, and what do you know? Moderate of 4 damage just because the Vics are angry, which is pretty tasty. That archer does not appreciate that. So it brings us to the end of the turn, no scoring. Obviously, Vanessa takes damage from her burning. The High River Monks have Deadly Pursuit. I do my battle tempo. I stone for my hand and win initiative 5 versus 10 with 2 pass tokens. So the Emissary starts the turn for me. He needs to fix Vanessa's problems in life. So he's going to move, and then he's going to plenty of Where's Vanessa, which I do need to cheat because I flip a 1 terribly. But I managed to heal her 3 HP and give her the companion ability with the Memento upgrade, which is actually going to be really, really helpful. So that's all my upgrades out that I can give. I'm then going to Weary Road Vanessa onto the halfway line just to get her in position for dropping bombs. Now, my theory in here is just to keep her as a threat, keep her alive as long as I can. And actually what I do is I discard one of the pass tokens I've got to companion straight into her, which is really good. So I intuition my, quite terrible next 3 cards and start dropping some bombs. So shooting the High River Monk. I've got 1 good card, 2 bad ones. So I flip 19 versus 18. Negative flip for a week of 2 damage with the Surge trigger. And I draw, importantly, the Black Joker, which makes this turn a lot easier. So while I'm here, I pop a second shot. She's not fast this time, so shooting again. This is 18 versus a 14 on the High River Monk. Negative flip, and I get much more lucky this time. I get a moderate of 3 damage, again with the Surge trigger, which is built in, which I can definitely take. So as we move in, now Chris is trying to see if he can get as much advantage on the strat markers as he can, while I'm just trying to remove pieces off the board because there's so many. So to facilitate this, Chris is going to go with his Thunder Archer, try and take this Ronin off the board, meaning that Vics either have to come back and not kill things, or they have to leave these strategy markers for him to manipulate. So shoots at her, manages to get an 18 versus a 17 via the use of Chi and cheating, which is just so good. Like, you use the Chi first, then you cheat up. But it just means the scores are really, really good if you want something dead. That leads to a negative flip on damage, which is only 2, but it knocks the Ronin down to her hard to kill. And it means that essentially he's just quite a simple mop-up now. So he'll shoot her a second time here. Manages to get 18 versus my 10. Straight flip, again, only 2 damage, but he gets the card draw thanks to War Eternal. And removes this Ronin off the board, which basically means he dominates that flank now, which is going to be a real problem as the game moves forwards. I go with my Ronin. She's going to, on the move, escape plan, all that kind of stuff. She's going to pop a cheeky shot into the High River Monk because I want him dead. 18 versus 18. Double negative of 3 damage moderate, because that happens for a kill, gets rid of him, takes at least one of the threats away from Vanessa, even though Sensei Yu is lurking. And then I charge this Wandering River Monk that I've been chasing and will be chasing perpetually on this wing, because I'm really worried now that I've only got my one Ronin left. So, go in 15 versus 19. Chris uses his chi here to make me just fail. You know, there's nothing I can really do about this. I then pitch a card to Flurry, attack him again. This time 18 versus 19. Chris using his chi fails the second time. So really disappointing attack from the Ronin. But Chris is having to spend his chi, which is great. And there's some high cards that are coming out very early on in this turn. So he just basically moves himself. I think it's a reposition trigger or something like that. Or is it butterfly jump and just moves away? So on to the Wandering River Monk on the other side now. Now he's got free room. He interacts once to put the marker in base contact, interacts the second time to push it forward. Goes to leap up Black Joker's it, because of course he does. So I pass here because I'm very aware of the amount of models Chris has. So he goes with his easy burnable activations. The Aspiring Student goes. Bonuses to follow in the footsteps. 4 wind punches. Sensei Yu, who relents just to push him 5 inches. And then does the double concentrate trick as an action and bonus action to get the chi stacked up again. Which is just such a good, easy activation to burn, isn't it? It just keeps the engine running underneath the hood. And you can see Shenlong still positioned right in the middle. So I'm going to have to go for him now and deal with that. So I'll go with my leader Vic. She places her big sister in base contact just in case I need to go over to that left-hand flank. And then we do a walk and a charge on the Aspiring Student, just trying to take him off the board before those tokens get put to use. And it also puts us in melee range of Shen as well. So, first attack, which is not too bad. I Red Joker it. So, my Red Joker total of 21 versus Chris's 7 is 4 damage. And I get to choose my suit. So, I choose the Whirlwind attack, which gives 2 damage to Shen. And also, very importantly, because I kill an Inspiring Student, again heals Vanessa, which is really good. Last AP here, second attack goes into Shenlong, again stat 7 versus defense of 5, flip a 13, which is great, so that's 20 to 17, declaring the Bloody Fate trigger with a negative flip of 3 damage. So Shen then butterfly jumps himself away within Sensei Yu's little bubble of protection, but still good free damage, 5 points of damage on Shen, which I wasn't really kind of certain I was going to get, is great. So now one Aspiring Student is dead. Chris goes with the other one. Similar trick this time. Double walk and then uses Chanted Sutra to move the chi from Sensei Yu to the Wandering River Monk to kind of make sure that he's stacked up for his abilities that he needs later. Pretty easy, straight off ability. You've then got Big Sis Vic. She's going to interrupt to move at least one of these markers barely over the halfway line to get me some points. She's going to move, and I've sensed an opportunity now. While I should have stayed on this flank, I think I can get Shen, so I go for it. So 18 versus 17 is a single neg of 4 damage with Bloody Fate, which means he butterfly jumps away again. I do the bonus action to get the double shielded up. But Shen is, in real pain here. I think I've tried to take the opportunity to try and just knock him down. Obviously, I've got Assassinate as well, so, don't tell anyone. But obviously, knocking him down to below half health is great. Onto the Wandering River Monk, who's dealing with the Ronin situation. He just leaves, just doesn't care. He just leaps, jumps straight over. I think he uses the chi here to succeed. Actually, no, Chris top decks it. And then just interacts once to put the marker in base contact the other side of his base, and then interacts a second time to move it, place it 2 inches. It's a really good way of getting an extra bit of movement when you've got leap. My Student of Conflict does what Student of Conflict does. She moves, stays within 3. I kind of redo my measuring here to try and get the bonus later of the Emissary, and then just Covetous Cravings Vanessa to give her fast, which I thought was a really, really good move. Stack her up for the next turn, and then completely forgot Shenlong is stood there with Spiritual Alignment and can just nick it. Anyway, this is a key point of this turn. Low River Monk goes, does his healing energy, and after all that damage I'd done on Shenlong, he does it the first time and heals Shen 3 health, which was great, flips the severe. And then Chris is like, well, I'll just do it again and I'll use the chi to boost myself up each time. And then flips another 3. So Shen heals 6 HP of that damage, which is just soul destroying. So Sensei Yu goes up now. He's going to Wind Blast Vanessa off the halfway line just to get her away from having that stat 8 and also making sure she's not there for that one counts as mine bonus, meaning I'm going to have to move a little bit. Also pushing me 3 inches is really good because I can only battle tempo 2 inches. So it kind of keeps her off without other shenanigans, another activation needing to move her. Uses his focus, 13 to 12, straight flip of 1 damage, which gets eaten by shielded, but it's the push that's the main thing. And then he's going to charge into Vanessa, just to barrel in, get stuck in, and it's kind of Sensei Yu needs to kind of tank that aspect of the battlefield. So he gets himself stuck in not the best attack in the world. It's an 8 versus a 13. I think we've both only got 1 card left at this stage in our hands. We're kind of top decking what we've got, so it fails. However, that means Chris pretty much has last activation control now, so he goes with Shenlong. He reattaches the Wandering River style upgrade, which gives him the same bonuses he's had before. Also gives a chi to the monks of the same ability, which is pretty handy. And he's just going to be a jerk. He's just going to double walk and spiritual align Vanessa just to steal the fast straight off her. And give it to Sensei Yu. Chris Red Joker's this, so yeah, Sensei Yu gets my fast. How dare he? And then a dragon commands it to give the low river monk a leap. He just leaps again to the other side of this marker using chi to boost it up, ready to push it again. So at the end of turn 2, we both score a point for the strat, and we both declare martyrs. We both get a martyr's point, so it's 2-2. And then what proceeds is some flipping. Chris cheats to make it even, so we have to then reflip the initiative. I win it. Second time, Chris chooses not to cheat, so I have the initiative going into turn 3. So now that I have the companion upgrade on Vanessa, I'm going to make full use of it. So the Student of Conflict is going to go first for me. She's going to use Covetous Cravings to remove that ski marker that's been at the back to give her fast. And then I kind of need to get rid of Sensei Yu. Like, he's fast, he's a real problem, so I need to put as much damage in her as I can on him, just to at least make him near killable, if not dead. So I'm going to charge in with her little baby katana, try and do some damage. 11 to 17 fails, sadly. But it does mean I can now discard a card and have Vanessa activate, which is extra handy. So she steps up. She uses I've Got Your Back to pull the Student of Conflict out of combat, so I get free shots kind of at Sensei Yu. And then I take advantage of the engagement rules here. I walk kind of through his engagement zone and then back out of it because, you know, it's not consistent during your activation. And then just start shooting him. Now I'm on the halfway line. I'm stat 8 again. So the arcane staff starts to go off. 17 versus 7 is a pretty nice way to start with it. With obviously you get the draw trigger. Straight flip, severe of 4 damage, which is a double blast to hit Shen for 3. And then we do the same thing. Now this could be big peak damage, but at the opportune time we'll see this turn. The cards decide it. So Chris flips a red joker, obviously nullifies it, and that's the end of her go. So onto the Wandering River Monk, he's going to do the nice easy bits and pieces. He'll walk to the other marker to try and take that away from the Vix coming back to deal with it, interacts with it, and then leaps in front of it to kind of keep it engaged. And that basically means that half of the battlefield is just gone at this stage, and it's a real lesson learned about these kind of strategies that I need to think more carefully about keeping models on that side, not just the one Ronin who got nuked earlier. So, biggest activation of the turn, Big Sis Vic goes. So she does the bonus action, does the teleporting of the sister, all that. Walks, charges at Sensei Yu. And, like I said, I need to try and remove him off the board. Chris is holding off for now. 19 versus 14 with Chris using Chi and using my Enchanted Katana of Death leads to a negative flip of 4 damage, which knocks him down to his hard to kill, which is just huge. Really important to get that moderate off straight away, saves an AP. I also get that one counts as Mind Trigger with the mask, which allows Vanessa to then shoot at him from basically point blank range. It ignores friendly fire with this trigger. So 21 versus 16 with the cheat that I use here. It takes to a negative flip of like 3 damage, which just kills him. And because of the positioning of Big Sis Vic, she's then able to interact to move the marker that she's next to over the halfway line. So in that activation range, to get rid of a key model, get a Vic into positioning, and also move a marker, which is, really useful. So the aspiring student goes now. He forwards punches the Ronin in the face because he wants to pull her in. She's got disguise thanks to the upgrade. So by pulling her forward, he can then start beating on her. Unfortunately, 8 to 17 means it fails, which means he then has to walk and then hit her with his defensive staff. Like a civilized human being. I'll just walk and then hit you in the face. She's having none of it. 8 to 16, I think. 8 to 15 just fails. So the Ronin, completely unamused, then does her on the move escape plan, walks around the back and charges into the low river monk because obviously he's the other martyr. And this is what I mean, the cards start to dictate how things are going. Chris has had a few bad turns, it kind of evens out here. So 13 versus 15 fails on the first attack. I then flurry I think it's 8 versus 16 on the second one, which fails again. So he's alive for another turn to pulse out that healing that he's been doing. So over to Shenlong, and this is kind of the other big activation. Of course, the Masters have the big activations, but they do a lot in this turn. So first thing he wants to do is he wants to get stuck into Big Sis Vic. You know, she's a real problem and she's activated, so if he can deal with her, ideally take her off the board. It stops the other one from coming in and doing a lot of shenanigans. So he charges, goes straight in. He's got the Fermented River style switch now, so negatives are positives. So I actually cheat here and then take it back. And Chris cheats down because he wants the negatives to become the positives. So it's 8 versus 7 that he wins by. He also gets the aggressive chi trigger, and as you can see, irreducible damage this would be. Flips a severe 5 and then the Black Joker. So just gets completely screwed there. It's horrendous and heartbreaking, and yeah, what more can you say? Hits again, 7 versus 19, fails. So you can imagine how much of a different turn it would have been if those two attacks would have hit. It would have basically one-shotted that Vic. So he goes for his Falling Rave kick this time on the Big Sis Vic. 11 versus 19, fails, but he does get the trigger to switch to the Low River style. Now this is the one, shall we say, good aspect of this activation. It's been pretty terrible by Chris, but he takes it like an absolute champ. The Low River style allows access to the heal. And obviously Shen still has his Dragon's Command it. So what he does is he Dragon Commands his student to then heal himself. I think the stat 4 it goes out, it succeeds, and it heals him for 3. With a severe, the healing is hitting severes no matter what. That's working at least. But Brutal, the Black Joker, you know, absolutely screws that activation. So realizing how close I was to losing a Vic, I then go for my leader one. She will move and she will charge in, and she's going to try and put as much hurt as she can on Shen. I'm trying to get my assassinate point this turn. That's my big focus. As much as I've given up on the strat, I'm trying to score my schemes. So she barrels in 11 versus 12 with Shenlong using his chi and a cheat to get above. I'm basically top decking at this stage, so, you know, I am at the whim of my cards. And I've had so many severes, you know, I can't begrudge not good flips. Second attack goes through then 15 to 13, which is a negative flip, which leads to 3 damage, which knocks Shenlong back down to 6 HP. So we're working, we're whittling, but the healing is brutal. More simple activation on the other side of the board. Wandering River Monk, interact twice, tries to leap, fails, gets a really high card, just not the mask. Emissary for me, very straightforward. He moves, charges Shenlong with his trampling hooves. 14 to 14, double negative, leads to 2 damage with the knock aside trigger, which is important. So I just shunt Shenlong out of combat. I want to move him just so that he's able to be threatened by the Vix, but he's not in the middle of where I want to be doing the interacting on this ski marker. And then speaking of which, I Weary Road a Vic, 3 inches, drop a ski marker for Covetous Cravings, and also means she can battle tempo back into the marker if she needs it for the interact for the actual strat. Thunder Archer, well, I've put this ski marker down. I'm near a corpse and I'm near a strat marker. So Chris is like, because I haven't revealed Assassinate, Chris is like, oh, research missions in the pool. I better deal with that. So he uses the target practice ability after he walks, shoots, gets rid of that ski marker. I'm kind of like, oh no. And he's like, yeah, I've got it. And then I reveal afterwards and it's a kick in the nuts. Low River Monk does Low River Monk things. He's great at healing. He's not great at combat. So he successfully hits the Ronin twice and manages to negative flip each time, 1 damage and a Distracted. Distracted's great, but yeah, he's not doing much damage. So the 2 Martyrs absolutely going at it to finish off this turn. Anyway, as we move to the end phase then, we both get a point. Chris gets a strat point. I get the Assassinate on Shen now that it's down to half health. So that takes it to 3-3, and Chris wins the initiative flip. And after stoning and stuff, I don't think there's any cheats that go on here. And Chris basically needs to go with Shen and try to do as much as he can before I then activate with the... So here he is then stepping up. So Chris immediately switches to the Wandering River style, which as always gives them the bonus chi. It also gives him the opportunity to use that 4 Winds Punch. So straight away, Shen goes in and he uses his Dragon's Command on his aspiring student to 4 Winds Punch himself. He wants to kind of play interference. And obviously Chris has got Assassinate and he needs to go after my leader Vic. So he uses this as a good way of getting in position for free and then being able to get his attacks off just in case of shenanigans. You can see him just pushing himself in before declaring a charge. So charge attack goes in straight away versus leader Vic's defense of 6. I flip high, so that is a 10 to a 17, which fails. Does gain a chi back, which is always handy. Chris then flips again. We both get a 13, meaning we are on 19, which is a double negative, but Chris does have the aggressive chi trigger. But as you can see, Black Joker again. Black Joker to get rid of the irreducible damage. It's just painful, isn't it? So yeah, third AP, third attack, could have easily got this Vic down to half health. 18 versus 16 takes it to a negative flip, which is a weak of 2 damage. Which, I've got stone, so I use it. I know exactly what he's going for by this stage, and I stone away at the 2 damage so that the Vic stays unharmed from that activation. That's 2 brutal back-to-back ones for Shen. Over to the emissary for me. He's going to try and whittle. Well, I need to try and get rid of Shen this turn and try and get him so I've got the other assassinate point in the bag. So I need to deal with all the other people. So the emissary is going to throw junk at the Wandering River Monk, 15 to 12, and a negative flip of 3 damage with the slow delay trigger built in, which leads to the Wandering River Monk butterfly jumping further away. I mean, these markers are a lost cause at this stage, but I have slowed him at least. We then set our sights on the aspiring student. That's an 8 versus a 17, which fails miserably, and I kind of make jokes about Fuhatsu's nerf. And then I weary road myself just to get another marker down just there for the wee student of conflict to give some more fast out to Vanessa, because that's her purpose. That's what she do. So over to the Wandering River Monk with slow. He's got a very straightforward activation. Chris goes for the leap, which has just been an amazing ability all game, hasn't it, really? And then takes an interact action to push this marker further. That one's completely gone. The Ronin, for me, wants to burn through Distracted, the low River Monk has put on it. So attacks first, fails miserably. But the second one, I get 2 good cards. So it's 15 versus 14. And it's Puncture. It's only got 3 health left. So I flip the damage, I cheat in a severe for 4 just to kill him, so I make sure that the martyr's point has at least been denied on that front. So, both distracts out the way for the Ronin. She's kind of incidental for the rest of the game now. Over to the Wandering River Monk on the other side, he's going to interact, leap, and then interact again. We've seen all of these shenanigans. Chris is basically just prioritizing these markers now to try and make it as difficult as it can be for me to get 1 back over the halfway line, seeing as I've got 1 in the bag, but there are 3 that are just a long way away, and the more distance he can put in, the better. So over to Big Sis Vic. She will teleport her little sis, bonus action to put the shielded up, and then she's going to interact to move the marker. Now, my aim is to move this one 8 inches away from the halfway line, I think it is, where it scores as 2. But yeah, that's as far as my plan goes with these strat markers. So Dragon's Bite on Shen, Stone for the Ram, get an attack off on him. 16 versus 6 is pretty good. You'll see that be flipped now. Which leads to a straight flip, which is only the min 3 damage, but it knocks Shen down to his hard to kill. And like I said, I've just got to get him off the board to guarantee the second assassinate point. Chris is going for scheme points. Going for strat points. I'm going for scheme points in this game. So Shen Butterfly jumps himself away, but this is why I Dragon's Bit first by stoning for the Ram, because I can then charge afterwards. So Big Sis Vic barrels in, charges 17 versus 14 this time with a negative flip and a moderate damage of 4, which kills him, takes him off the board, which is a big scalp for this turn, but unfortunately turn too late, but the Vics can't complain with all those black jokers helping them stay alive. Thunder Archer double move, he's going to play defensive duty on this marker over here, and then we're over to the leader Vic, so she's going to do the main interacting, so she's in base contact thanks to the teleport, so she interacts, moves, interacts again, that pushes that the requisite distance away, and then we go back to the aspiring student for Chris. So obviously he's got to chase this assassinate point in, so he charges the leader Vic using his focus, flips his 2 cards, 17 to 18, Vic's defense helped them out with my cheat, which fails. And then flip again, and I get my Black Joker this time, which seems fair. Chris gets 6, but he doesn't want to cheat because he wants the double negative because he's fishing for his red Joker here. So flips his damage track. Unfortunately, it's a negative, double negative 1 damage, which is just eaten by shielded. My Student of Conflict does what she's done all game. Covetous Cravings to give Vanessa fast with a cheat. Then just moves to kind of be there for I've got your back purposes maybe next turn. And then we're straight into Vanessa. Vanessa moves twice and then uses that fast to charge the Wandering River Monk. I'm hoping for some big damage here to try and take him off the board. And then I've got access to those markers for the last turn, which is still going to be very difficult. My intuition's not bad. It is her arcane, not the arcane staff. It's like a balanced sword. 15 versus 12, negative flip going in of 2 damage. And then he butterfly jumps, but of course he just butterfly jumps to the marker, which makes that even harder. So at the end of the turn, we both get a strat point. I've had to work very hard for my 1. Chris has got plenty in the bag, which takes it to 4-4. And then we go to the initiative flip, which Chris cheats in, I think, a 13 to take the initiative to ensure those markers are out of reach as we go into the final turn. So starting off then, this Wandering River Monk is going to play full on defense. It's going to interact twice, puts it one side of its base, puts it the other side, and then just chucks it, and then leaps to engage Vanessa just to make sure she can't easily walk over and start pushing it back for the Vix to chase. I then go for my emissary. I'm just trying to mop up. Murder mode is gone now. You know, like I know the strat's gone, so what does Tom do? I kill things. So I'm going to Weary Road Big Sis Vic in the hope of at least getting some movement with her. But then I'm just going to attack students. So I throw some junk at this aspiring student that somehow uses chi to get up to a 20 to 15 to 20 fails with chi and cover. Hit him a second time, 15 to 14 with the cheat. Is 2 damage with the slow on him just to basically take him out of action. Wandering River Monk on the other side continues to do good work. He wants to try and stop this Vic from advancing around the back. So walk, leap, charging into Big Sis Vic. Barrels into her. It's a 12 to 14, I think Chris flips here. Let's just double check as it goes through. Yeah, it cheats in. And then gets the inner piece trigger, which allows him to gain a focus. Flips it, gets 3 damage on the damage flip, which is good. But again, for Chris, it's the wrong sister. You know, my leader Vic has been well protected during all of this, whereas Big Sis Vic is tanking most of those hits and healing. So I go with Big Sis Vic. She teleports her sister into base contact to try and get some free movement, which is always good. And then I attack this Wandering River Monk for being so rude as to attack one of my masters. So stat 7 sword to his defense of 5, I think it is a 15 to a 19, which fails. And then he butterfly jumps, so I just charge. There's no escape from these swords. So I attack again, but at this point I realise I actually kind of want my leader Vic to be engaged, so I cheat down to have a 14 to 17 to lose to allow my I've got your back, which kind of confuses Chris for a second, and then I pull it out and it's like, oh, that makes sense. So Chris, again, is just going to keep these markers away. He knows this one is one that is nearer the halfway line, so he just moves across, interacts to shunt it right to the edge of the map. Like, literally, you'll see him nudge it here. Like, I want it on the edge of the board, as far away as possible. So Student of Conflict, then, she goes, I got your back, the leader Vic, which pulls her out of melee and gives her, again, 6 inch in a base width teleport, which is always good. And then I charge the Wandering River Monk, because I just want kills at this stage, like I said. Not great with the stat 4 sword. 14 to 16 fails. I'll get my man eventually. I'll get him. The aspiring student goes, he can just move because he's slow. That's all he's able to do. So I go my Ronin and I'm like, right, let's murder the student. So she gets her free move, she then walks, and then she charges at him with her Daito. 10 versus an 8 leads to a negative flip, but I have the puncture trigger, which is great. And yeah, she just flips a kill. And Chris has run out of corpse markers at this stage, so we're replacing them with scraps. So lead of it goes. Now, it's practically impossible for me to get to a marker at this stage, so I'm just going to try and deal with the bad guys, deal with the thunders. So she stones for a dragon's bite because she knows a butterfly jump is coming, then attacks him with a sword. 15 versus 10 leads to a negative flip of 4 damage because all I can hit is moderates, apparently. She then moves and charges the Thunder Archer. This is the same Thunder Archer she charged at like the first turn, so she literally did a whole lap of the board by this point. 20 versus 16 with Bloody Fate. Gets a negative flip. He's only got about 3 health left at this stage, so kills him. Draws a card for me, which isn't great. I think it's a 4 of masks. And then we just go for Vanessa, and at this point I can't get any markers, but she intuitions the most ridiculous 3 cards in the world, 12 and 2 11s. So she's just going to try and kill that last model because, you know, moral victory. If there's no one alive, you can't call them winners. So she sends off her arcane staff into combat, takes the negative flip knowing I've got great cards. 17 to 10. It's a straight flip, and then we know what's coming, Chris and I. It's a severe 4 damage to kill him, so I get my kill, but it's not affected the score in any way, which, you know, we'll take it. So at the end of the game, Chris gets another strat point, I get the second point of Assassinate. Neither of us get Martyrs, which is a big one. There's no one really left to engage, and the Low River Monk's off the board, which takes us to 5-5, which is an incredibly well-balanced game, and it just shows you in Malifaux that you don't have to kind of table people to win. You know, it can balance it out. So I hope you've enjoyed this shorter form battle report. I apologise if my voice has been a little bit crackly in places. I'm currently recovering from COVID, so hopefully that'll get better soon. But let me know in the comments what you thought about the game. Remember to name your MVP, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Take care. Hi guys, and thank you so much for watching our videos. It means the world to us. If you want to see some more, they should be over here. If you want to support this channel, keep these lights on. You can find links to our Patreon and merchandise in the description below. Take care.